Today we are talking about some terrible sounding records, or more specifically, some terrible sounding pressings that should be avoided at all costs.
Channel 33, RPM, yeah, 33, RPM, Channel 33, RPM, yeah, Final Gear Echo.
Hi, my name is Frank. Welcome back to Channel 33 RPM, your channel for vinyl gear and more. Let's get right into this. This first one breaks my heart because this is one of the best sounding records in my collection and one of the worst sounding records in my collection. Let me explain. So this is David Bowie's Let's Dance. And for years, I've had the original Canadian pressing, which has sounded fantastic. But it's gotten worn down a bit, right? The snap, crackle, and pop has kind of picked up over the years, so I was looking for a replacement. I saw that there was a reissue, so I grabbed it, hoping that it would become my go-to version of this record. And I gotta tell you, I was very disappointed. This is the 2019 remaster. It's on 180 gram vinyl, like most reissues are nowadays, and it was pressed by Optimal Pressing in Germany. It gets glowing reviews, believe it or not, on Discogs. People really seem to like it, so I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it's just me, but I think this particular pressing sounds, I was gonna say horrible. Maybe horrible is overstating it, but it definitely sounds dull, one-dimensional, and lifeless. So if it was me, I would not rebuy this album and I would avoid this 2019 pressing at all costs. Since then, I have acquired another original Canadian pressing and an original US pressing. Both of those are in near mint condition. I gotta say, they sound way, way better than this 2019 reissue. So if you're looking for this album, you're looking for a really good sounding version of it, I would stick with those original pressings. Way, way better than this one. Next up, you wanted the best. Well, this ain't the best. I'm talking about Kiss, Hotter Than Hell. Now, a shout out to fellow YouTuber Melinda Murphy, who inspired this video. She did a video on her channel a while ago, which she called, "Whoa, these records sound terrible." I thought it was a good idea for a video, so this is my response to that. One of the records she talked about was Kiss's Hotter Than Hell. And she mentioned in her video that she had got an older pressing of Hotter Than Hell, and she commented on the sound quality saying, hey, it wasn't great. So she asked whether the 2014 reissue, which you have here, sounded any better. And I gotta tell you, it does not sound any better. The issue with this record was the original mix and the original mastering. I'm not sure exactly what they did, but this record has never sounded good, at least to my ears. There's people who say they love the sound of Kiss Hotter Than Hell. It's got a very unique sound. I will say it definitely does have a unique sound, but it's a very distinct sound, but I don't care for it. I mean, you either love it, hate it, or tolerate it. I do tolerate it because, I mean, there are some really good tracks on this album. Parasite, Going Blind, Hotter Than Hell, Let Me Go Rock and Roll. I mean, I can go down the list. These songs are all stone cold classics. I just wish that it had been recorded or mixed differently, and I wish we had a better sounding version of it. So in my view, you're never going to get a good sounding version of Hotter Than Hell, so you kind of got to live with it. The 2014 pressing, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, it's flat, it's stone cold quiet, and it sounds as good as it's going to sound, but for all intents and purposes, Hotter Than Hell is probably one of the worst sounding records in my collection. Next up, another one of my favorite artists, Alice Cooper, and the 2021 reissue of the famous Alice Cooper album, Killer. And unfortunately, like David Bowie, this reissue suffers the same problems. It sounds dull, it sounds lifeless, and it sounds completely one-dimensional, which is too bad because if you can find a good pressing of Killer, it can sound fantastic. And I've got an original Canadian pressing of this one. That one sounds amazing. What can I tell you about this one? This was pressed by Rainbow Records. In the dead wax, it says, God bless Mom and Dad. And on the other side, it says, thanks to Alice, Joey, and Shep. I say thanks to no one because this is not a good pressing. This is one to avoid. Next up, I want to talk about the 2016 reissue of Infectious Grooves, The Plague That Makes Your Booty Move. I don't have a physical copy here to show you anymore because I bought it, I pre-ordered it, I was so excited about it, and as soon as I got it, I realized this might be the worst sounding pressing I've ever purchased. So I sold it. So there was 1,000 copies of this record, and I think the problem was, and I should have known, the issue with this record was it was pressed on glow-in-the-dark vinyl. I should have known that it was a little more than a gimmick, because I've heard other glow-in-the-dark records before, and all of them sound bad. It's got to have something to do with whatever they do to the vinyl to make it glow-in-the-dark. I mean, any record that glows in the dark, Dear 33ers, is essentially a gimmick. It's not going to sound good, which was so disappointing because I loved this record. I think it's an amazing album, and after I got rid of the vinyl, I bought the CD. I had the CD way back in the day, the original 1991 disc, and I had lost it over the years. So I repurchased that, and the CD sounds amazing. So I sold the record for like 20 or 25 bucks, and I looked on Discogs, and I see it now going for over 100 bucks. So maybe I should have held on to it. I don't know. There seems to be a lot of demand for this record for some reason. Probably just because, this is only vinyl pressing that is somewhat attainable, but I gotta tell you, Dear 33ers, if you're a fan of Infectious Grooves, do not purchase the glow-in-the-dark vinyl. You will be disappointed. Track down an original CD because that one sounds just fine. Next up, we have Judas Priest, the Metalworks Sampler. So, as it says here, this contains 10 classic tracks from the forthcoming album, Metalworks 73 to 93. So this was a promotional sampler for that album, and it was pressed on this, check this out. It was pressed on this gray silver vinyl, and I was so excited to find this one. I'm sad to report that it sounds terrible, and copies of this can still be found on Discogs for a reasonable price, and I know why it sells for a reasonable price, just because it doesn't sound good, man. There's so much surface noise on here. It is distracting. I mean, it's a cool collectible, but that's about it. It's a showpiece and nothing else. What can I tell you about this? It was pressed by Orlake Records, and Orlake Records closed in the summer of 2007. They are long gone. So again, unfortunate. This is a cool collectible, a cool part of the Judas Priest collection, but a hard album to listen to. It sounds kind of to me like, you remember those 1980s picture discs, and they never sounded very good because the grooves were so shallow and they were mostly for display and decoration than they were for listening. That's what this reminds me of. It sounds like an old picture disc. Definitely not worthy of the Judas Priest name. All right, 33ers, those are some of the worst sounding rock and hard rock albums in my collection. I'm sure some of you will disagree with me. Let me know in the comments below. Also, let me know what are some of the worst sounding records in your collection. I think that'll be very interesting. Otherwise, if you dug today's video, I would appreciate a quick thumbs up. Have a great rest of the week, dear 33ers. Until next time, keep on spinning.